What happens when one of Hollywood's most cherished actors steps onto a talk show stage and refuses to follow the usual rules? What happens when years of misrepresentation, frustration, and condescending questions finally reach a breaking point? The result is an interview nobody expected. A moment so raw, unfiltered, and intense that it left the audience in stunned silence and the hosts scrambling to regain control. This is the story of Michael J. Fox's explosive appearance on The View, an interview that began with polite conversation and ended as one of the most confrontational moments in daytime television history. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on how it all unfolded. Now, let's get into it. The studio lights shone brightly as usual. The audience settled into their seats, buzzing with that familiar energy of anticipation. Michael J. Fox walked onto the stage to loud applause, his trademark smile lighting up his face as he waved to the crowd. The hosts greeted him warmly, and for the first few minutes, everything seemed perfectly cordial. They discussed his foundation, recent projects, and the usual topics for a promotional appearance. Then, the tone shifted. Whoopi Goldberg leaned forward with a concerned look, her voice taking on the serious tone reserved for weighty subjects. "Michael, we've watched you show such bravery over the years, dealing with your condition so publicly. How do you stay so positive when things must be so difficult?" Michael's smile flickered. He had heard versions of that question countless times, always phrased with the same mix of admiration and pity, which had begun to wear on him years ago. "You know, Whoopi, I appreciate the sentiment, but I have to push back on something. This idea that I'm being brave simply by existing, by living my life here, it's exhausting." The studio quieted. No one expected that response. Sunny host stepped in, her voice measured. "But Michael, you've inspired so many people. Your foundation has raised hundreds of millions for research. That's not just existing, that's making a real impact." Michael nodded slowly. "I know, and I'm grateful for that. I really am. But there's a difference between acknowledging the work and having my entire life constantly framed through the lens of tragedy. I'm not a cautionary tale. I'm not your inspiration. I'm a person who happens to have Parkinson's and also happens to have had a career in entertainment." Joy Behar, never one to avoid tension, leaned forward. "So, you're saying we shouldn't talk about it at all? Because that seems like ignoring a big part of your story." "That's not what I'm saying," Michael replied, his voice sharpening. "What I'm saying is every single interview, every single appearance, always comes back to this. It's always about how brave I am, how inspiring, how tragic. What about the work? What about the actual content of what I do? When was the last time someone asked me about my opinions on current films, or the state of television, or literally anything else?" Alyssa Farah Griffin, trying to ease the tension, offered a sympathetic smile. "I think people just care about you, Michael. They want to know how you're doing." Michael's jaw tightened. Do they care? Or do they want to feel better about their own lives by watching someone handle adversity? There's a difference between caring and "I've felt like a spectacle for a very long time." The audience was silent. This was not the feel-good interview they had expected. Whoopi tried to redirect. "Michael, I don't think anyone here sees you as a spectacle. We're just trying to have an honest conversation." "Are you, though?" Michael shot back. "Because from where I'm sitting, this feels like every other interview I've done in the past 20 years. You bring me on. You say nice things. You ask how I cope. I give an uplifting answer. Everyone feels good, and nothing actually gets said. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being your symbol." The tension in the room was thick. The hosts exchanged glances, unsure how to respond. Sarah Wen spoke carefully. "What would you want us to ask instead?" Michael leaned back, considering. "Ask me what I think about the current state of independent film. Ask me about the book I'm reading. Ask me if I think artificial intelligence will fundamentally change storytelling. Ask me anything that treats me like a person with opinions beyond my medical history." Joy, defensive now, interjected. "We do ask celebrities about those things." "But Michael, your journey is extraordinary. People want to hear about it." "My journey," Michael repeated, almost laughing. That's another one of those words that sounds nice but really just means you want to hear about my struggle, the overcoming. But most days, my life is pretty ordinary. Parkinson's is only one aspect of me. It's not my defining trait, but it is a part of my life. Sonny interjected. You've written about it. You've spoken about it. You can't blame people for being interested. There's a difference between interest and obsession, Michael countered. And there's a difference between me choosing to speak about something on my own terms and being constantly reduced to it by everyone else. I wrote about my experiences because I wanted to. That doesn't mean I want every conversation for the rest of my life to center on it. The camera cut to the audience, faces reflecting confusion, discomfort, and, for some, understanding. Whoopi, trying to regain control, spoke firmly. Michael, I hear what you're saying, but I think you're being a bit harsh. We invited you on to discuss your foundation gala that's related to the disease. That's the context. Exactly, Michael said, voice rising slightly. That's my point. You invited me to talk about the foundation, which means Parkinson's, which means I'm here as a patient, not as an artist, not as someone with decades of experience in this industry. I'm here as a disease. The words hung in the air. Joy shifted, uncomfortable. That's harsh, Michael. We're not treating you like a disease. We're acknowledging reality. Reality, Michael repeated, leaning forward. Let me tell you about reality. I've been in this industry for over 40 years. I've worked with great directors, actors, writers of multiple generations. I have opinions about craft, storytelling, where entertainment is heading. But none of that matters anymore, does it? Because all anyone sees is the tremor. Alyssa tried again, gentle. People still love your work. They still watch your films. Do they? Michael shot back. Or do they watch them as nostalgia, relics of who I was before I became the poster child for a disease? There's a difference, and I feel it every day. Sonny's expression hardened slightly. So, what are you saying? That we should ignore the elephant in the room? I'm saying treat me like any other guest, Michael said sharply. When an actor's had a heart attack, do you spend the entire interview on their health? When someone's divorced, do you only talk about that? Or do you give them the dignity of being more than one thing? Whoopi interjected firmly. Those are private matters. What you've done, you've made public. That changes things. Michael's eyes flashed. I shared because I had to. When this diagnosis came, I had two choices: hide it until I couldn't, or take control of the narrative. I chose the latter. But sharing doesn't mean I agreed to make it my whole identity. It doesn't mean I signed up to be your constant inspiration. Joy leaned back. A lot of people would be grateful for your platform. Many with Parkinson's can't raise awareness like you do. The gratitude argument, Michael said sharply. I should be grateful that my struggle becomes a teaching moment for others. How many times have I heard that? How many times have I been told at least I'm making a difference? It doesn't make up for anything. Sarah tried to find middle ground. Your visibility has helped many, and that's a good thing. I'm also exhausted, Michael admitted. Exhausted by the expectation to always be positive, perform gratitude, make everyone else feel okay about my life. Sometimes I'm angry, frustrated, or just want to talk about movies without it turning into therapy. The audience was split, some sympathetic, some confused or offended. Whoopi pressed. But you knew we'd discuss this. Why come on if you didn't want to? I hoped this time it would be different, Michael replied. Maybe we could have a real conversation, one that recognized all of me, not just the parts that make good TV. But I was wrong. Sonny became defensive. We're trying to have a real conversation, and you're hostile. Hostile? Michael repeated, almost laughing. I'm being honest. If that feels hostile, maybe it shows what you're comfortable hearing, not my tone. Joy, rising, said, you're saying we're doing it wrong, exploiting you. That's hostile. I'm not saying you're bad, Michael clarified. I'm saying you're following a script like everyone else. The script that says people with disabilities exist to inspire able-bodied people, that our value comes from coping, not being. I'm tired of reading that script. Alyssa thought aloud. How do we change it? Like this, Michael said, gesturing between them. Let me say I'm tired of being tokenized without defensiveness. Let you hear criticism without justifying your actions. Acknowledge that maybe the way we talk about disability needs to change. Whoopi's face was unreadable. And ambushing us live is the way to do it. I didn't ambush anyone, Michael replied coolly. You asked how I stay positive. I answered honestly. I'm human. If that's an ambush, maybe the problem isn't me. The tension peaked. The hosts struggled to stay composed, the audience unsure whether to applaud or remain silent. Joy tried again. Let's start over. What do you want to talk about? Michael shook his head. Too late. You've already framed me as the difficult guest. And honestly, I'm fine with that. I'd rather be difficult and honest than pleasant and fake. Sunny leaned forward. So this is about being seen differently? Fully, Michael corrected. As someone with dimension, complexity, interests beyond my condition. Is that too much to ask? Sarah quietly said, I don't think so. Your point is valid. Uncomfortable? Michael echoed. Yes, that's the truth. Whoopi looked at the camera. We need a break. When we return, we'll continue. The commercial felt endless. When cameras returned, the atmosphere was heavier. Michael sat composed, unmoving. The hosts had regrouped, but the usual ease was gone. Whoopi spoke cautiously. We're back with Michael J. Fox, having an intense conversation about disability representation in media. Michael, would you elaborate? For decades, I've watched society treat people with disabilities the same way. Invisible or inspiration. There's no middle ground. I've participated in given speeches, emotional interviews, but at some point, you ask the cost. Joy asked, curious. The cost? Your personhood, Michael said simply. People stop seeing you as a full human, with flaws, bad days, opinions unrelated to your condition. Pedestals are prisons. Sunny nodded. But if someone's inspired by you, why is that bad? Not bad, but limiting, Michael explained. It burdens the observed. I can't have a bad day without disappointing people. I can't express anger without criticism. Symbols aren't allowed complexity. Alyssa leaned in. So hearing we call you inspiring feels reductive? Exactly, Michael said. It reduces me to bravery and overcoming. I'm not always brave. Sometimes I'm scared, angry, or just want to stay in bed. But publicly, I can't, because I'd ruin the narrative. Sarah thoughtfully said, that's isolating. It is, Michael agreed. Even loved ones respond to the symbol, not the real me. Joy pressed, you created that symbol? Victim blaming dressed as logic, Michael said. I chose transparency, but that doesn't give up my right to be whole. Two things can coexist. Whoopi intervened. No one doubts you're whole, Michael countered. Every question today filters through Parkinson's. At what point do we talk about Michael, not Michael the patient? Silence fell. Sunny finally spoke. Okay, let's talk about Michael. What passions do you have unrelated to health? I've been reading about technology and storytelling, Michael began. Independent cinema is thriving, but overlooked due to franchise fatigue. People want originality. Independent filmmakers take risks. The studio's system fears it. Alyssa nodded. Will you act again? I don't know. The industry and my abilities have changed. But I miss the collaboration, creativity, problem solving on set. Sarah smiled. This is a good conversation. Why couldn't we start here? Because you didn't want to, Michael said bluntly but kindly. You wanted the comfortable conversation. This conversation needs you to see me fully. That's harder. Whoopi's expression was complex. You're not making this easy. I'm not making it easy. I'm making it real, Michael said. Joy leaned back. Do you regret being public about your diagnosis? I don't regret advocacy or the foundation, Michael said. I regret not setting boundaries. I let the narrative control me. I thought if I gave people what they wanted, they'd eventually see me too. Wrong. Sunny's voice softened. Why speak up now? I'm tired, Michael said simply. Tired of performing, pretending, being the feel-good story. If I don't speak now, I'll spend my life in that role, and that's not acceptable. The audience was absorbed. Alyssa asked softly, what should people take away? That disabled people are people, Michael said firmly. Not heroes, not victims, not inspiration. Just people, with good and bad days, opinions, frustrations, joys, boredom. Seen fully, not one-dimensionally. Whoopi nodded slowly. Fair. More than fair. Joy looked at him with respect. Are you angry at us specifically? It's bigger than the show, Michael said. Culture does this. But yes, I'm frustrated with you too. You could choose nuanced conversations, but you default to tired narratives. Sarah asked, give an example. Ask disabled people about work, ideas, contributions, not limitations, Michael explained. Feature disabled voices outside disability. Treat the condition as one part of life, not the defining one. Simple. Sunny leaned forward. Agreed. There's a learning curve for questions. Then listen, Michael said. That's what I'm doing. Listen without defending or justifying. That's how change starts. Whoopi met his gaze. I hear you. I apologize if we made you feel tokenized, Michael replied. Intentions matter less than impact. I felt like an exhibit, not a guest. I'm sure I'm not the first disabled person to feel that way. Alyssa nodded. So how do we do better? Ask why you're having someone on, Michael said. For something interesting to say, or because their struggle makes TV? If the latter, reconsider. Include disability, don't center it. Allow multifaceted humanity. Joy smiled slightly. You should teach a seminar. Maybe I should, Michael replied, hinting charm. I've had enough bad interviews to know what not to do. Laughter eased some tension. Sarah asked, a personal question. Okay. Go ahead, Michael said. Ever wish you could disappear? Michael was quiet. Every day. But I've built this life, foundation, commitments. People count on it. I can't walk away even if I want to. I'm trapped by my success. Sunny, sympathetic, said, heavy burden. It is, Michael agreed. This isn't just one interview. It's a system that expects disabled people to be grateful while carrying the weight of representing millions. It's exhausting. Whoopi asked, what would freedom look like? Boring, Michael said with a slight smile. Projects I care about, family, reading, movies, opinions without justifying them. A regular life. That's all I ever wanted. Joy said gently, that doesn't sound boring. It does, doesn't it? Michael agreed. But my life requires being on, inspiring, brave. Some days I just can't. Alyssa reached out slightly. People will relate, not just disabled, but anyone forced to perform an inauthentic self. Maybe, Michael said. Or maybe I'll be criticized online for being difficult. Could go either way. Whoopi shook her head. You weren't difficult, honest. We need more of that, especially uncomfortable honesty. Michael corrected. Comfortable conversations keep things the same. Nothing changes when all is comfortable. Sarah smiled. You definitely made us uncomfortable. Good. Michael grinned. Means I did my job. Joy laughed. What happens now? Think about what I said, Michael replied. Think about disabled people in your lives. How you see them, how you talk about them. See them as whole humans, not inspiration stories. Maybe then you start changing conversations. Sunny nodded. Reasonable. What about you? I'll probably regret this interview. Michael laughed. But also feel relieved. I finally said what I've thought for years. Mixed bag. Alyssa smiled warmly. Glad you said it. We needed to hear it. Whoopi addressed the camera. Michael J. Fox, thank you for one of the most honest, challenging conversations we've had. We appreciate your candor, even when uncomfortable. That's my goal, Michael said with a twinkle. Making people squirm. The audience applauded a different this time. Not pity or admiration, but genuine recognition. Joy asked once more, anything else? Michael paused. I hope this conversation continues. Not just about me, but about representation, dignity, seeing people fully. We have a long way to go, but this is a start. They shook hands. Cameras pulled back. The interview ended, but its impact trickled outward. A routine promotional visit had become something far more significant. Michael J. Fox walked onto that stage expecting old questions,